Claims by Santos that his grandparents survived the Holocaust. I don't know if you guys got a friend that tells a more traumatic story. That's what he is. You're Santos friends and you tell Santos, yeah, I'm Jewish descent. And Santos says, yeah, I'm Jewish descent too, because and my grandparents were in the Holocaust. Lie, 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 lie. He's a liar, a psychopathic liar, okay? Remember the movie Talented Mr. Ripley? Have you ever wanted something or to be somebody else? This is him. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to talk about George Santos. I think and I believe some people shouldn't run for office. And this particular individual, I don't think he should have ever ran for office. I don't think he ever should have got elected. Quite frankly, I think he's a psychopath. We're going to talk about his current charges. He has 13 charges that he's been indicted for. He just surrendered himself. And also we're going to talk about his past. Some of the things that he was convicted for and accused of. So when I say it's not a coincidence, reoccurring thing for George Santos, he has a problem with fraud and money, and I think he also have a problem with puppies.
I'm Diane Macedo. We're coming on the air with breaking news. Republican Congressman George Santos is now in custody after turning himself in on federal criminal charges. Unsealed court filings show he's facing 13 counts in total, stemming from wire fraud, money laundering, theft of public funds, and making false statements. The U.S. attorney on the case says in a statement taken together, the allegations in the indictment charged Santos with relying on repeated dishonesty and deception to ascend to the halls of Congress and enrich himself. Senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky is here with the details. Aaron, walk us through these charges and what they mean for Santos.
Congressman Santos turned himself in just moments ago. He has now been placed under arrest at the federal courthouse in Central Islip on Long Island in the New York suburbs. And the criminal indictment outlines 3 distinct schemes that Santos allegedly used, as the U.S. Attorney Breon Peace says, to ascend to the halls of Congress. The indictment charges him with, at the height of the pandemic, taking unemployment benefits that were meant to help people who needed it during the COVID-19 pandemic and using it for himself. The indictment also charges him with recruiting donors for his campaign and using those campaign funds for his personal use. The money that was supposed to go for his election to Congress actually went into his personal piggy bank, according to federal prosecutors. And finally, the federal charges accuse Santos of making false statements to the House of Representatives about the source of his income, about money that he received coming in and going out. And so all told, they say that this is the height of deception by a sitting U.S. congressman.
Okay, these are the actual charges. One was a fraudulent political contribution solicitation scheme. So that first charge, and they actually, in this indictment, they actually go into detail of how it was actually set up. So this first charge, he used his company to solicitate potential donors for his political campaign. And in one of the political campaigns, he will say, oh, I'm trying to raise money for XYZ, this political campaign, and this money or these monies will be used for advertisement. And it will say TV advertisement or whatever. So they name actually people who actually put funds in the contribution. Okay. So if we go down into the indictment, okay, so he raised money under the false pretense saying, hey, this was a political campaign. Number one, they cited that he made it seem like this was a 501c4, a super PAC, that people were donating to the super PAC, and it wasn't. It was just a LLC. So that's against some type of political campaign fraud. I don't know the regulations, but they got it in here. They're citing it in here. So, and that's one of the things that you can't not do is raise money as a super PAC and not use it for political stuff. Okay, so they named that. He was claiming that his company was a Section 501c4, a social welfare organization, or a independent expenditure committee, and it was not. Okay, is company one is just an LLC, and they cite that at the beginning of the indictment. So that's one. Then it gets kind of juicy. After he raised this money, he was spending it on luxury and designer credit card payments, luxury and designer clothing. And most of the funds was used for personal use. Okay? So that's charge one. And then they go into detail how he would come about or solicit people to this. They call it a defendant's fraud scheme. So a fraudulent scheme. That's how they named it. And so he will actually have this email campaign and telephone and text messages that he will send out to potential donors. And he will say, oh, I'm raising $1 million and we're halfway to our goal. And we need 700,000 left to raise. One, person two on this charge. And a reliance upon the materially false statements therein, one or more individuals made contribution to company one. Company one as supposedly be a 501c4, like a super PAC or organization, and it's not. It's just a LLC. So those are two fraud counts within themselves. Then it goes on to say how this last thing where he tried to raise the money, contributor once sent in 25,000, and it says it right here, and they wired it into his account to company one, and also contributor two. And these are people known by the grand jury. They don't list it in this indictment, but they actually revealed it into the grand jury. Contributor two actually had sent information or monies into the campaign. Okay. And they said, okay, he falsely represented himself. They thought they was donating to his actually political campaign, and it wasn't. George Santos had a second personal banking account maintained by the voter Santos. And from there, they received from contributor one and contributor two. And all the money that he raised, he used it for his personal benefits. Okay? Making cash withdrawals, personal purchases, and luxury and designer clothing, credit card payments, payments of personal debts, and one or more bank transfers to the voters Santos personal associates. So to me, this guy has a problem with money. And I'm saying that not only because of this, but we're going to talk about previous charges too. Now, I don't want to, harp on this indictment. I think they're going to actually federally charge him. I think he will be convicted. He actually pled not guilty, but I think he's going to get convicted. He is a Republican, and probably a lot of Republicans are not going to talk about him because, they think, and it doesn't matter which side, Republicans or Democrat, they're all so perfect, but that is not the case. And this guy, I think, is a psychopath. The third charge that they talked about is the fraudulent application to receipt of unemployment benefits during the COVID-19. Now, he was actually employed. He collected about $24,000 in unemployment, but they show in this indictment he was actually employed in an investment firm, and he was receiving, and these were per payments on a weekly basis, that he was receiving a salary at approximately $120,000 per year in his bank account. Okay? So That's another thing. And I told you he collected about $24,000 in unemployment benefits. Okay? So they're saying he had one bank account, that bank account one under George Santos, and the bank account two of DeValder Santos. That's when he received his unemployment benefits. I guess he thought they couldn't connect the two because his name is George Anthony DeValder Santos, but under bank account two, the name on that account is DeValder Santos. Okay, so maybe he thought he could get away with that, but they caught up to him. And the final thing that they were talking about on this indictment, and it includes several charges, that he lied to the House committee and he didn't divulge some of the commissions and bonuses that he received. And it was totaling about $55,000 that he received from company two, and also receiving a $5,000 single source in ownership interest that was unspecified. He also received about $25,000 worth of income from another investment firm. So he lied, he didn't divulge this information, and also he falsely certified during the reporting period that he earned an income as consistent of $750,000 in a salary from the DeVolder organization. His earned income included dividends of the DeVolder organization been valued between $1 million and $5 million. He had no compensation exceeding $5,000. So he owned a checking account depositing totaling between $100,000 and $250,000, and he owned a savings account depositing a total between $1 million and $5 million. So he just a liar too. That's why I say he's a psychopath. He just lies. And that leads me to the next thing, that he is a psychopath and a habitual liar. He also lied about on the political campaign. People might, or you might be saying, oh, what's the big deal? He lied about X, Y, and Z. No, normal people wouldn't lie and say their mother or father was in the Holocaust. That's the kind of type of things he's lying about. This is a CNN article. They cited some type of discrepancies in his campaign. They said he said he went to school. Come to find out, he didn't go to school. He don't have a degree. Do you need a degree to get? Do you need a degree to be a U.S. representative? No, you don't. But I guess he wanted to embellish his, the way he looked to society. And on one of these, he was with a radio host. He said, I'm not a criminal, not here, not abroad, in any jurisdiction in the world. Have I ever committed any crimes? That's a lie too. He has committed crimes, and I got some proof to show you with that. To get down to the nitty gritty, I'm not a fraud. Yes, he is. I'm not a criminal who defrauded the entire country. Yes, you did. And made up this fictional character and ran for Congress. Yes, you did. I've been around a long time defrauding people. He has been around a long time defrauding people, and he's not that old either. I don't really know. I think he's in his 30s, maybe late 30s. But he's been around a long time defrauding people. And people that need money. He don't care who he take from. He can take from the rich, he takes from the poor. He has no couth. He wants his money. I'm not going to make excuses for this, but a lot of people overstate in their resumes, twist a little bit. I'm not saying I'm not guilty of that. No one, and I'm not saying people don't do it. No one says, oh, I have a degree and really don't have one. Unless... People don't do that all the time. Only people that haven't did the work do that. And they think they could get away with it. So People don't do that. That's normal. That's not normal behavior. He also told the Post he didn't graduate from college or any university, despite claiming he had degrees from Baruch College and New York University. Lie, 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 lie. He's a liar. This is what he said to that. I didn't graduate from any institution of higher learning. I'm embarrassed and sorry for having embellished my resume. You lied on your resume. That's not an embellishment. Embellishments would say, oh, I had a 4-point GPA and your GPA was really 3.6. Or even a 3.0. No, I graduated summa cum laude and you only graduated cum laude. That's an embellishment. Tell me if that's an embellishment and put that in the comment section, because I think that is crazy. So also last week, and this is a report that was done in January, that claims by Santos that his grandparents survived the Holocaust. I don't know if you guys got a friend that tells a more traumatic story. That's what he is. You're Santos friends and you tell Santos, yeah, I'm Jewish descent. And Santos says, yeah, I'm Jewish descent too, because my grandparents were in the Holocaust. Lie, 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 lie. He's a liar, a psychopathic liar, okay? Then he says to disregard this claim. He said, I never claimed to be Jewish, Santos told the Post. I am Catholic because I learned my natural maternal family had a Jewish background. I said I was Jewish. Santos had said that he was very proud of his Jewish heritage as recently as late November 2022. In the introductory of this film, I said George Santos, I think he's a psychopath and a pathological liar, and I think he has a problem with dogs. And this is why I say he has a problem with dogs. This is another case that I found that George Santos was charged for theft in 2017, and it involves some dog breeders. Now, it says in this article that George Santos actually defrauded his customers. He held a charity event to raise money. So Representative George Santos was charged with theft in Pennsylvania's Amish country in 2017 after a series of bad checks were written in his name to dog breeders, according to the court and the lawyer friend who helped him address the charge. Just days after, $15,000 in checks were made out for puppies, according to the memo lines. Santos held an adoption event at a Staten Island pet store with his animal rescue charity Friends of Pets United, according to the store's Instagram account and a person who attended the event. The charge was dismissed and his record expunged after Santos claimed someone has stolen his checkbook, according to the court lawyer. Do you guys believe that? Do you guys believe somebody stole his checkbook and wrote out the monies for the actual event that he held? This is how you know when people are liars. I've encountered people like this, people that always scheme and lie and defraud others, okay? It's always something that's traumatic or bad that happened to them. Listen to this story. A chance encounter with a former classmate. I'm just going to call her Tiffany B, Attorney Tiffany B, because I can't pronounce the last name, who attended middle school with Santos, but eventually fell out of touch with her classmate, ran into him at a Queen Starbucks in late 2020 or 2019. So she told Politico that Santos told her he just lost the bid for Congress. Several weeks after, she said, Santos asked for help. He'd been awakened by a 4 a.m. knock on the door of his Queens home from an NYPD officers who served him with an extradition warrant related to Pennsylvania's theft charge. He told her on February 15, 2020, stopped by her office where she tried to help him with some legal advice as a friend. Santos said his checkbook has gone missing in 2017 and blamed someone he knew for its disappearance, she recalled. He told her he canceled the checkbook with TD Bank as soon as he noticed it was gone, days after getting it. So she said the detectives told her and Santos they should contact the Pennsylvania State Trooper about the warrant. At her office in February of 2020, she sent the email to Trooper Adams on Santos' behalf, according to copying the message she shared with Politico. In the email, argued Santos' case said related to her. In 2017, he received 4 checkbooks for the account at his request from a TD branch he banked with Queens, New York. And of the 4 went missing. He immediately called the bank upon learning a quarter of the checks was missing and all the checks was canceled at the time with a stop pay on all checks. As such, no checks was ever cashed or presented against the account due to the cancellation of all checks linked to the account. The account was closed on March the 3rd, 2017 for personal reasons unrelated to alleged fraud on his account. She attached copies of the 9 checks to 8 different people and corresponding banks from Santos accounts showing negative balance of $690 in November the 4th of 2017 and another negative balance of $349 on December the 3rd. She noted to the trooper that the signatures were different on each checks and attached to his driver's license. She wrote Santos was clearly a victim of fraud, but hadn't realized it until he was served with the warrant because he canceled the checks and later closed the account. Later the same year, in December the 17th, Michelle Vazo said that she met Santos at the Pet Oasis when she adopted a puppy at another event. Santos told her that the golden retriever was rescued from an Amish puppy mill. There were many dogs at the charity event. The adoption cost range was $300 to $400, and she recalled. The fees were always different, and he always had a ton of puppies and a ton of people helping him. Santos told different stories about where the puppies came from, sometimes saying that he found pregnant dogs on the street and other times claiming that he rescued them from Puerto Rico or other places. I don't know, you guys remember the movie Talented Mr. Ripley? He is a classic liar. Have you ever wanted something or to be somebody else? This is him. He makes up his self to be somebody that he's really not. He's doing all these things. He lies. That's George Santos. And people actually believe him. We don't even know who he is or where he came from. Two New Jersey veterans says now Congressman George Santos promised to raise funds for life-saving surgery for one of their dogs in 2016, then became elusive and took off with the money.
That dog saved my life at least 2 times. When I first got out of the service, I was depressed. I was having nightmares, bad memories about some things that happened, not war-related, but other things that the military does to you. I started drinking too much. I was doing reckless stuff. My father even told me he thought I had a death wish at that point. And I probably did. I was very suicidal. I would start crying for no reason. And if I didn't have that little princess with me, I probably would have not been here speak to you right now, at least 2 times. I would think about her, and I said, nobody else is going to be her daddy. That's my dog. And I'd go and I'd cuddle her, and I'd snuggle up with her, and all the bad stuff went away.
And at what point did you all realize that Anthony DeVolder is George Santos, an elected?
A week ago.
A week ago?
A week ago. I started seeing his face on
And to be clear,
cable
obviously
news.
you're not following politics, you're not, right? So it's just like you kind of stumbled across his face in a news
Right,
story.
right.
at
I mean,
some
I
point.
watch the news all the time. Kind of a hobby. I love my YouTube news. But I saw his face, and I knew I sort of recognized him a little bit because we had been Facebook friends while the campaign was going on. So I knew what he looked like, and I knew his voice, and that was the only thing I knew about him. And I saw him on TV, and I was like, I got a feeling in the pit of my stomach about this guy. Who is he, and why do I recognize him? And then that was in December, right around Christmas time. Just about a week ago, he was in the Capitol, and there was a bunch of reporters following him around, asking him questions. Like, that's about the only thing you see him, anymore. And one of them said, "What's your name today? Is it Anthony DeVolder or is it George Santos?"
So it's so you had the pit in your stomach in December, and then when that name was said
Correct.
a week ago,
Right.
then you
I
realized.
was sick. Yeah. To see that somebody like that could do something that dastardly could raise to such high position, and that shouldn't be right. That shouldn't happen.
So let me ask you each. Don Lemon reached out to Santos, to George Santos, and got him to respond to you.
He told me, he said I was fake, and it didn't. Yeah, I read that.
Let me read it so if everyone can hear, and I want to give you each a chance to respond to it. He said, I have no clue what he's talking about. And the crazy part is that anyone that knows me knows I'd go to hell and back for a dog, and especially a veteran. So this is just more of the pile-on effect. I have dozens of people reaching out to me in support, sharing their stories about their dogs and cats that I helped save and rescue. What do you each say to that?
Prove it. Show us. He should show us if he has all these people that reach out to him and that love what he does and stuff. It's not. No.
I'm coming here staking my name of our charity on this. I back Rich 100% on this. There's no doubt in my mind that this was done, and it's horrible that this veteran has to go through this. Veterans, we lose them 22 a day, and our charity does whatever we can to prevent that from happening and work with other people and really rely on other charities. When a charity does something like this, another one, it just causes more problems for us to get the mission of saving our veterans' lives, and it's disgusting, and it's unfortunate that this happens in 2023 still to this day.
Yeah, so George Santos, Anthony DeVolder, whatever you want to call him, this is the modern, talented Mr. Ripley. He is a liar. To me, he's a psychopath. Anyone that does this type of stuff, they will do anything. He should not be in office. People shouldn't be voting for him. He steals from everyone. He's not a Robin Hood. He steals from everyone. Poor people, rich people, veterans, it doesn't matter, old, young. He steals from everyone. He shouldn't be trusted. He should be in office. He shouldn't be in office. And I wish the Republican Party will just expel him. Type in the chat. Let me know what you think. I'm sending all my good to you. And I will talk to you soon.